Hello, and it's Tom from BlackToad Studio, and in front of you, you see 1850 points of red scorpions. This is for a match-up against a couple of the guys from Emperor's Path. So I'll just go into detail here very quickly. So HQs wise, we've got two librarians, but one is obviously Severin Loth, who is located over here, and he is accompanied by his Honour Guard, and they'll be riding in the Land Raider Helios. In the Honour Guard, we have obviously a standard, it's a standard, nothing else in there. A standard. We have two tiers of Scorpion Axes and two Relic Blades. The other librarian, who's a level 3 librarian with a Force Stave, is accompanied by 6 Cataphractii Terminators, 3 Lightning Claws, and a Heavy Flamer, and then a Power Fist, and the captain's obviously got a Power Sword. And they'll be riding up in the Cast Assault round, which is just as it is. To the right, starting with lots of troop choices, we have the two 10-man tacticals here, obviously led by the Apothecary Sergeants there, and they're both in Rhinos, which don't have any upgrades other than the fact they have the Storm Bolter on them. At the front here we have a whole stack more of troops, so we've got a Sniper Squad, we have a Bolter Squad with Heavy Bolter, and the Sergeant is packing a Chainsword and Bolt Pistol, and then over here we have a Shotgun Squad with the Sergeant packing Chainsword and Bolt Pistol. I've done the Psychic Powers Severin Loth because I get to pick them as per his rules at the moment. So he is Smite, Iron Arm, Warp Speed and Endurance. I will be picking the other Librarian's powers just before we start the game as per rules. So that is everything here, and we'll see what's been bought for the other armies. And this is 1850 points of Dark Angels, which has been brought down from Mike, who's travelled down with Sam from Emperor's Path today. Say hello, Mike.
Hello.
So, Mike, what you bought here then?
So you've got a Combined Arms detachment led up by the Librarian.
So he's
just at the front. So then you've got two tactical squads with veteran sergeants with plasma pistols and a plasma gun. One of them's in the drop pods.
And that's just hiding back over there.
The other one's in the Razorback.
Which is over here, obviously.
Then you've got the Devastator squad.
Yep.
With the 4 plasma cannons.
Lovely.
And then to finish off the Combined Arms detachment, you've got 3 Whirlwinds
back here
with the Storm Bolters, just in case a weapon destroyed.
and
the 3 Predators.
Lovely.
I think 24 dice, I think that is, if they're all.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And then you've got the Ravenwing Strike Force, which is got 1 squad of Black Knights there.
Yep.
All the Corvus Hammers and a grenade launcher. Okay. They're led by the Interrogator Chaplain on a bike.
Fantastic.
The Elites, you've got the Command Squad with the Banner, Apothecary and the Champion.
Very nice.
And then there's another squad of just standard bikes with 2 metal guns.
Brilliant. So that's 1850 points of Dark Angels. We'll now move on to the deployment and the game. Okay, so here we are. Just about to start our 1850 point aside battle. We have Roland on the table to get a random mission completely, and we've gone into the Eternal War Tree, and then we've gone with a Big Guns Never Tire. Ended up getting 5 objectives on the board, which are here, 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 and here. And obviously they're worth 3 points at the end of the game each. And then obviously any heavy supports also count as an additional victory point as well, along with all the other standard bits and pieces. So just a quick overview of deployment over here. Scouts have infiltrated here, 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 and here. And obviously we've got Land Raider, Rhino, and the other Rhino over here with the attack squad. Moving over to the Dark Angels side, we've got a bit of a long line here. Starting over here, so we've got a Razorback with a tactical squad in it. Obviously the triple Razorbacks here. Some Devastators here with the Librarian, and then the Whirlwinds here. I believe everything else is sitting so outside.
Drop pod with the tactical squad, and then the Ravenwing.
That's all there. So at the moment, I am going first. However, Mike is going to roll in here, see what we get. No, so we'll be back for Scorpions turn 1. Okay, so Scorpions at turn 1 movement, and over here this scout squad redeployed, then moved around here to give them a bit of protection from various bolter selections over there. This Rhino's moved forward 12, as did the Land Raider. Scout squads up here have stayed put, so give them rifles options. And then down here, this scout squad redeployed and then moved a further 6 this way towards the Whirlwind formation at the back there. So that is all my movement. I might have a couple of bits of shooting, so we'll just move on to the shooting phase. Okay, so as we end turn 1 shooting for the Red Scorpions, quite a successful turn shooting wise. To start with the bad points, well actually no, it was a good point then because of the whirlwind on top here. So the Land Raider Helios shot over its las cannons, snap firing at the Predators, didn't do anything. It then machine spirited its whirlwind and managed to take off 2, I believe. I think it was in that one. Then the snipers here, all having a very good start to the game, fired in and managed to take out the remainder of the Devastator squad and the Librarian. So
yes, that was
pretty good. I was actually quite impressed. The other scout squad down here ran up round the corner just to get a bit closer to the whirlwind pack there. So that is the end of Scorpions turn 1, and I now will see what damage the Dark Angels can bring. Okay, so we start Dark Angels turn 1 here, and we've had this Razorback shimmy up over here. Didn't get immobilised luckily, it's all good, so it's a good roll in there from Mike. We had some little swivelling around here from the Predators, just getting into line for shooting, and then moving on all the way over here. We have had a drop pod come in and to eye up these scouts here, which could be getting a rather large fusillade of bolter fire. And then finally over here, the whirlwinds have all moved around slightly just to get a stormbolt shot in at this squad here to try and thin them out before they get charged. So that's the end of Dark Angel's movement. So we'll now move on to their shooting phase and we'll see what's left on the board. Okay, so Dark Angels shooting, turn 1. And over here, the Predators all opened up with everything into the little Rhino over here. And as you expect, oh no, not as you expect, actually it seems to be on one hull point. Don't know how that happened. It was
the little Rhino that can.
Yeah, the little Rhino that can has decided to just keep going.
Herbie's great grandson.
Yeah.
There's probably a few more greats.
So while that is probably looking a bit like a sieve at the moment, they are still going. Over here, the attack squad here shot everything into the scout squad here. It had some pretty good armour saves from the bolters, and then some nasty plasma shots melted the rest, and the drop pod unfortunately didn't manage to land any of its hits properly. And down here, after they're probably a bit scared, to be honest, because they've had some very danger close fire from the whirlwinds, and all the storm bolters opened it, but we only managed to lose 1 scout, which is pretty impressive. So at the end of that turn, that was lots of little bits chipped off here and there. So we'll now move on into the Scorpions turn 2 and see what turns up in the reserves. Okay, so now we start turn 2 for the Red Scorpions, and over here the Scout Squad has firmed its position up behind this tower because it's got a lot of worrying things coming on soon. Over here, the Rhino that can has decided to carry on moving towards the Predators on the back line over here. The Land Raider has just snuck forward a little bit, not too far, not quite sure what he's going to do yet. He's got Severin Loth inside, so not a lot of options for him. This Scout Squad has obviously stayed still. Up here, this Scout Squad stays still, but not really a lot of options, to be honest. This Rhino has reversed slightly, and this Scout Squad here has moved into the Whirlwind part back here. And unfortunately, I rolled a 2 for my reserve, so the Cessna Assault Ram is not arriving yet. So we'll now move on to the shooting phase and see what happens. Okay, so turn 2 Scorpion shooting. Over here we had a frag grenade thrown in. We managed to take out 1 Marine. And also over here, the Whirlwind off here, machine spirited over the top here, hit the dropper, but also scattered, and they managed to actually take out the plasma gunner over here, which is very lucky. Did get 1 las cannon firing at the Predator over here. Did actually manage to penetrate, but a good save saved the Predator. So that's pretty much it for the shooting phase. I do have an assault though, so let's see what happens there. Okay, so the end of turn 2 in the assault phase for the Red Scorpions, and the Scout Squad here managed to charge in. We did actually manage to take off one of the Whirlwind's launchers, which is good, but didn't actually manage to take the tank out fully. So those scouts are still there, probably going to get bolted and possibly shot at by various bikes that turn up if they do on that side. So that is the end of that particular phase. No more assault to go, so we'll now head on to Dark Angels turn 2 and see what goes on. Okay, so top of turn 2 for Dark Angels, and over here we have the reinforcements arriving. So all the bikes have turned up. So this is the command squad here, might you? So they've rolled on over here, heading up against the Rhino there. The Whirlwinds here have backed off, obviously, from the Scouts. This another Ravenwing squad here has just rolled on from this side, because I think they just came on normally, didn't they? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then moving swiftly over to this side, we've got this Razorback has decided to claim the objective, along with this other squad here of bikes, which has just come up, and obviously these poor Scouts are probably going to get absolutely destroyed. We shall see though, maybe we'll get some handy overheats. Other than that, I think everything else has pretty much stayed put, apart from the, I think the tack squad up here just squared up against the 2 Scouts up there, to see if they can just finish them off. So that is the end of turn 2 movement for Dark Angels. We'll now move on to their shooting phase and see what happens. So turn 2 for Dark Angels shooting, and quite a successful shooting phase, I think. So over here we've had this Rhino popped by this command squad here, so quite successful. They weren't pinned, they did lose 2 people in the explosion though. Over here, the Scouts are no longer sad face, some more danger close firing, no saves for them with the AP4. Moving over this side, another Scout squad met their maker, with this bite squad here finishing them all off with a lot of plasma shots. And finally, the Predators, sensing that the Rhino was getting a wee bit too close, finally decided to take it out there. They managed to wreck it. These guys are all okay though. So that is, sorry, and up here, obviously the shooting finish off the Scouts from this attack squad here. So that is all the shooting done. We'll now move on to, I don't think we got any assault actually, have we? No. So we'll move straight on into Scorpions turn 3 and see if we can maybe even the field a bit. At the top of turn 3 for Scorpions, and finally the cast assault ram has roared on and has decided that this is going to be where he's going to direct the attention for this turn. Moving over to this side of the battlefield, we've got this attack squad have all squared up against the Predators here to try and possibly take one out. I think that's probably what the goal is. We shall see if I get a lucky melter shot. I'm predicting a 1. The Land Raider's moved up again. Unfortunately, Severoth is a little bit in limbo though. He hasn't really got a lot of targets to get out and shoot at because of the amount of plasma flying around. Over here, this attack squad is squared up again. Obviously, they are going to get plasma next turn, and they're just learning to accept that fact. Other than that, everything has to stay put. We'll now move on to the shooting phase and see if we can chip a couple of things off the board. Okay, so at the start of turn 3 shooting for Scorpions over here, the Ram has fired down everything it had and managed to kill 1. So, not bad. We've got them to jink, so that's the bonus I see. Over here, Melter Gun flew in a shot and managed to take off a hull point and a heavy bolter off the central Predator. The Land Raider, very sadly, actually managed to end up doing nothing, pretty much that entire shot there, because, just didn't seem to do anything really apart from it fired over here. I think it did a wound, but unfortunately it was all saved. Down here, all of the bolters twin linked up and shot in here. Unfortunately, didn't do anything. a lot of good saving was going on. Other than that, I think the snipers also decided to pile in a few rounds over here, and again it was just some really good saves going on. So that's the end of my shooting phase. I don't actually have anything assault-wise, sadly, because everything was in a transport last turn or was come on. So we'll now move on into turn 3 for Dark Angels and see what happens. Okay, so Dark Angels turn 3, and down here we've had some sneaky bikes running up behind to try and get some rear armour shots on the Ram. Bit of luck, you never know. You never know. So it's always a good tactic. Over here, I think these bikes have stayed still. I think these guys moved up to the edge just to get a few shots down here. And other than that, I think everything else has stayed put. Yeah. Apart from the sneaky little, it's just a couple of movement there. But so that's all the movement. Now I'll move on to the shooting phase, and we'll see what horrendous damage is shot out from these various weapons. Okay, so turn 3 shooting for Dark Angels, and over here the Scouts have unfortunately took quite a lot of fire from the Whirlwinds over that side of the board, and they've managed to make them retreat back out this way. Really badly though over here was my choice not to jink with the assault ram over here, and some plasma shots got sneaky in the back armour there, but also the rest of them also shot at the side. But lucky it is still up. It has unfortunately lost its only weapon now, so it's on 1 hull point and with no weapons on it anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but hey ho, stuff happens. On a slightly lighter note over here, somehow this squad of Marines has not taken any casualties from the amount of firepower that came out of these Predators.
They have some very good armour.
I think they definitely took the best armour off the racks when they left today. And other than that, I think just over here we had a little bit more shooting from this squad here into here, but it didn't actually manage to do anything also with them joining at the top there. So that is the end of the shooting phase. We'll now move on to the assault phase. So I believe we've got this one here to round off. And that'll be that for this turn. So see you in the assault phase. Okay, so Dark Angels turn 3 combat here, and it did end as we thought it would with the Scorpions losing out there. However, it was actually down to the last roll, because it was the Apothecary left at the end, just needed to fair pass one, feel no pain, he would have been there in combat still. Obviously there would have been a run and stuff, but they probably would have caught. And of course, because you could have hit and run, I presume. So yeah, so not the end of it. So that's the end of that combat there. So that's squarely put this side of the board, I think, in Dark Angel's hands. We'll now move on to turn 4 for the Red Scorpions, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so as we journey on into turn 4 here, in the movement phase, we had a little drop off here of some Terminators ready to hopefully take these bikes out over here, and then this ram just moved back, so I try and get itself out of range, but unfortunately, obviously, there's lots of things around here that can probably hurt it, especially possibly in there. There's probably a plasma maybe. This tack squad just lined up on this side of the pipe just to get ready to go over and hopefully finish that squadron off, but we will see. There's quite a lot of armour to chew through. Scout squad basically just squared up, take a few sniper shots at the guys over here, along with the Land Raider as well, which is turned to draw its attention this way. And then that is it for movement. So we'll now move on into shooting and see what happens. Okay, so turn 4, shooting for Marines. It's a Marines, or Red Scorpions, I say, both Marines here. This squad here shot all its weapons, including the heavy flamer in, and I think we managed to take out the one, I think, in the end. Yeah, nothing more than that. Over here, the melter gun fired in again and managed to immobilise the central vehicle. So again, not brilliant, but at least it's not the whole point gone. Over here, the snipers and the Land Raider all fired in at this squad over here. Unfortunately, didn't manage to take anything. However, the Machine Spirit shot a lucky shot over here and managed to take one out right in the middle, which was good. They did pass the pinning test, so they are still able to move around. So that is the end of the shooting phase. We'll now move on into the assault phase and see if the Terminators can finish this bike squad off. Okay, so Scorpions turn 4 assault, and over here the Terminators managed to finish off the bikes that were there. On a contrasting note over here, to be fair, we did manage to finish off the last one there with the crack grenade, and the rest of the attacks piled in, and we managed to take off one more hull point on this one on the right here. So we've still got quite a few more hull points to chew through there. If they stick around, of course, they might decide to disappear. So at the end of turn 4, it's looking interesting game at the moment. We'll see what happens in the next turn, I think, for Mike, and then we'll head on to turn 5 and see how we go. Okay, so as we turn into turn 4 for Dark Angels over here, this squadron stayed put, not electing to make any dangerous terrain rolls to move over itself. This bike squadron here has moved up towards this squad of tacticals here. And then over here, a little sneaky coming up behind the assault ram again. I possibly will be jinking this time if I need to. I've been instructed I don't need to though, so it's false emperor will protect me. Over here, this the command squad has moved forward this way, just obviously to try and have a few choices in the next turn or so. And this squad is obviously holding the objective down, and likewise the whirlwinds over here are all staying put. So that is the end of movement. We'll now move on to the shooting phase, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so at the start of turn 4 shooting over here, this squad has been forced to retreat by combined fire from obviously the Predators, the Bike Squadron, and the Whirlwinds over there. So they took, I think they took 3 casualties in the end and then had to fall back. So over here, in a slightly more amusing turn of fate, the plasma guys that got out here took all their shots up here. I jinked, unfortunately. However, I didn't need to take any saves because they managed to kill themselves both. So one plasma gun and a plasma pistol off the sergeant, and they killed themselves. So that's quite funny. They did pass the leash, they haven't run away, so they're not too bad. over here, this spike squadron has gone flat out and got up here to make sure that they get hold of that objective for the final turn. So that pretty much, I think, no assaults is there that are going on here? I don't know if you're doing...
No, because I've got out my...
Oh, you got out your vehicle, yes. So that pretty much wraps up turn 4 for Dark Angels. We're heading into turn 5, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so turn 5 movement for Red Scorpions, and typically I thought, let's move the Land Raider over this point over here, and I went, I won't get a 1. I got a 1, so that's now mobilised, lost the whole point. Sevendoth has decided to get out to get the point, but also because he's got some psychic powers that he needs to get down this turn, because obviously if it does end at the end of turn 5, he won't have done anything all game, and I feel really disappointed. The Terminator's got back inside the transport, and then the transport has zipped off over this way. And over here, this squad has obviously regrouped and headed back towards what they're trying to chew through over here. So that is the movement phase. We'll now move on to the shooting and psychic, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so at the start of turn 5, shooting for the Red Scorpions over here. The typical luck of the melter gun has finally reared its head, and it did nothing. Got a double 1 on penetration. So, hey, over here we had basically quite a lot of shooting. The Land Raider, the snipers, and the smite skill from Severin Loth over here fired up into the squad up here. And we managed to take 1 biker out in the end. Did make them jink, so hopefully that should help in the following turn if there is one. Actually, there is one for you, sorry, pardon me, I'm not ending here. And then we'll see what happens. So we'll head on to turn, well, assault actually first. I do have 1 assault to do, because I think I can get in range over there. Yep. And then we'll see what happens. Okay, so at the end of turn 5 assault for the Red Scorpions, we have managed to take out another vehicle over here. Finally in combat, got 2 6s, so glanced its death. So that is the end of combat. We'll now move on to turn 5 for the Dark Angels and see what they can do in their possible final turn. Okay, so turn 5 movement for the Dark Angels over here. This Razorback has shuffled around here. The shit shuffled around here. And then over here, the Marines have continued up towards the board for line breaker, I'm presuming. Over here, we've had some bike movement again. So here, this squad has moved on forward just to get towards these Marines here, and obviously this the command was dropped off the terrain down here, so maybe forced to make a choice next turn if the flyer is still alive, because obviously they'll probably be up here by the end of the turn. Other than that, the whirlwinds over here have all made a little move. 1 got immobilised at the back there. The rest have managed to make it to where they needed to be, and obviously that Predator there has decided that it's a bit too close to these Marines, so it has now moved back. It is free from its squadron. So that is the end of the movement phase. We'll now go into the shooting phase and see what happens. Okay, so turn 5 shooting for Dark Angels, and over here, as you can see, the flyer has gone. Unfortunately, a nice plucky shot from the bolter at the back hit the rear armour and took the last point off. I couldn't get the jink save I needed. The unit inside took strength 10 AP2 hits, and obviously all but 1 has died, and that was the sergeant who managed to actually roll 6 on his vulnerable, even though he had to re-roll 1. So that's that there, and then obviously the bikes have gone, they're flat out move right up on here, so they're securing that objective quite nicely. And then down here we had a few shots rain in to the tactical squad here from the bike squad, and they managed to take out 1 guy on the end with a melter shot. And I believe that's everything for this turn so far. Got some assault coming up here? Or?
Yeah, just one.
So there's 1 assault, so we'll see what happens there. Okay, so at the end of turn 5 assault, over here there was a combat, and the Red Scorpions lost that combat by losing a couple of men and failing their leadership. However, it ends up with them being in combat. We have both decided to call it there. I mean, Mike, I think, so I think there's not really much where I can pull back from the point deficit with what I've got left on the table. So what we're calling it there is 13-4 to the Dark Angels. So first of all, thanks very much for the game, Mike. It's absolutely a pleasure.
It's been really good.
It's been a pleasure having the game. So any bits you enjoyed out of that, or anything you liked, or favourite unit of from your side?
It's funny enough, the thing I probably thought was the funniest was my actual 2 guys blowing themselves up. Just for the pure.
That was this squad over here, the two plasmas.
thinking, oh, we'll take that flyer down.
Yeah.
And then obviously the best moment for me was probably getting those 2 hull points off the flyer with the snap fire.
Oh yeah, that was pretty epic, especially getting that last one off with the bolter as well, just to see it go down. And for me, it has to be the first turn, the scouts and the snipers.
That was vicious.
Just taking out that one squad at the back of the Devastators, all gone down the Librarian. And to be fair, after that, they pretty much whiffed every attack. Sadly, it was just they went back to their normal routine. So
just wanted to say, especially when you've got to hold a lot of objectives, the speed of the bikes and the Warlord trait giving the extra 3" on the flat out. Was
definitely a good edge, I think. Yeah, so, I think the other thing that was a slight swinging point was the fact that it's got immobilised and stuck here. So basically, I couldn't do anything with it, and the guys inside became kind of obsolete, which is very sad for the unit. But hey, I've really enjoyed myself. So thanks for coming down, Mike. And as always, this is Tom from BlackToad Studio, and we'll see you all soon.